broadcast the link. Boom, boom, boom.
What's happening, everybody? Looks like boom, boom, boom.
So yeah, that was an investor call that all that DC information came out.
I believe so. I'd gotten a notification on my phone from the Key Collector app about the investor call. Much, I guess, similar to how Disney had theirs. There was a little thing saying that there was
Mm-hmm.
a Zatanna and something image shown that they didn't speak on or talk about what kind of media it would be, if it's a upcoming show, movie, whatever. But there were just still images of Zatanna and I think Black Canary. I think were the two characters it mentioned in the notification.
That's what's up. Yeah, I
And
just saw. I think Wednesday Pull List posted it on Instagram, that picture, and then like the same one that Steve posted, and so I saw his second, and I was like, oh, okay.
it's pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
there.
went to
I
public yet?
just when I mentioned it to you, that's when I just opened it up and saw the picture for the first time. I haven't got any information other than that notification, which I saw and like Key Collector, you silly goose, and I put my phone down and laid down. But I see
Yeah.
Gotham Knights is on there is listed. That's fantastic.
Hmm. Yeah, that was. That's the thing. I have no context for it. I just saw that image posted by two different people, and I was like, okay, well, I guess this is a thing. And then I was like, but what is DMZ? That's the only one that I can't put together.
Yeah, it's just a. There's no superpower stuff from what I remember. I was working at my LCS when it was coming out, and it was just like a bang bang shoot 'em up, like alternate futuristic
Like
kind of
18
thing.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess, but it was real gritty. It was under the Vertigo imprint, if I remember, because that's when DC, like how that Black Label now, they had an imprint back in the day called Vertigo, where they would put their mature
Hmm.
titles to differentiate them. If I'm not mistaken, that's what it was under.
Yeah, that's where all the cool stuff came from, like Sandman and all that.
Yeah, I think Sandman. I don't know if it originally predated Vertigo or not, or if it came out under that because it was a short time clump when that came out. Vertigo
Yeah,
was happening. That's
yeah, I
when
think
Fate
it
was
premiered on
happening.
Vertigo. Isn't that where Constantine premiered as well?
Mm-mm.
No, he
Constantine
was always
premiered
DC,
in, yeah, he
or
premiered
I
in
guess
Swamp.
Hellblazer. But yeah.
Yeah, he premiered in Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's right.
his first couple appearances. I have his first cameo appearance in Saga, I think 25. But as far as his first full appearance, I do not have. Unfortunately, it's a beautiful yellow background cover too.
Ah, this fool.
It's awesome how it's always made so crisp as well.
It really takes no effort.
It's just asking to get messed up.
Oh, my daughter, she loves to come in here and get on a freshly made bed. She's like, Papa, you just spent 20 minutes doing this? Hi. Like, great. So, I don't know. Let's start there with this investor call and these shows and movies. So Green Lantern. Well, I mean, for one
I froze up.
Yeah, I froze too. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I was finally
Said that
talking. It just all went to crap.
I was having issues last night. My internet's been acting horrible the past couple of days, so I assumed that it was me that froze. On my end, it always looks different than what people say is happening.
Yeah. What's up, cardboard crazies?
How's it going, Chris?
Yeah, so I guess I was talking about this image that came out from the Warner Brothers DC call. So, I mean, we know Aquaman 2 is a movie, right?
Okay.
Black Adam's a movie. Superman and Lois is already out, right? That's the CW show.
Yeah, me and my wife watched episode 3 today, the most recent one. And dude, if y'all aren't watching that, don't wait. Like find it and like work it into your schedule and keep up with it because this is another one where watching it along with its release has been a treat.
Yeah, I still haven't even watched the finale of WandaVision, so
I feel like you've heard enough
don't.
about it.
Yeah, that's true too. So don't expect me to be too current. What about Static Shock? What's with my boy Static? Is that a show or a series or a movie? Do you know?
Well, I'm not sure at all on that. Again, I have one alert on my phone about Zatanna and that same image you have. That's all the stuff I have. Like trying to call back to what I remember from the fandom because a lot of the stuff that's showing
Mm-hmm.
up in this is stuff that was announced during fandom.
Yeah,
And
there's only like a couple of things on here that are actually new.
now I think Cat Wheels is going to be an animated thing, like possibly even Legos related. It would say Legos. I'm assuming if it was Legos, but
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I didn't know that was in progress.
Legion of a lot of this stuff I think is going to be properties going straight onto HBO Max for shows and animated. But I know Harley Quinn is obviously the animated, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I assume that's just confirming another season of the show.
Blue
Blue Beetle, we found out was a movie.
Yeah.
Batgirl, is that still the Joss Whedon Batgirl that they were so hype about?
I'm not familiar with that.
I think right after Justice League came out, right? Didn't they announce that Whedon was doing Batgirl, and there was a lot of hype behind it?
I do remember a lot of talk about like them doing like a Gotham City Sirens kind of thing, like with Batgirl and
Yeah.
all that. I don't
Peacemaker
remember.
is the HBO Max series with John Cena's Peacemaker from the movie,
Yeah,
right?
that's going to be spinning off out of. Yeah, it'll be spinning off from Suicide Squad.
Which, jumping across, they have Suicide Squad listed here and the Suicide Squad. And the Suicide Squad is the James Gunn one. So what is Suicide Squad?
That's
Surely that's not
Suicide
a back
Squad.
reference.
Okay, now I got it. All right, that Suicide Squad, I believe, is that game that they announced at Fandom.
Oh, okay, okay. That make yeah, because there's games in here too. I forgot there was some games.
I didn't even realize that until I saw that.
Yeah,
That's what
whenever I
that
saw
is.
it, I was like, I guess they're calling that Peacemaker show Suicide Squad, but then I just now realized there's also a Peacemaker logo. So then I was like, wait a minute, there's too many. But that makes sense that it's the game. I forgot there's. So what about Teen Titans Go? Is that continuing the series? That's still on the air, right?
I don't. Are they still making new episodes, or is it syndicated at this point?
I'm not sure. That's why I was asking because I don't know if they
Yeah,
were syndicating or still on the air.
it's funny. You expect me to know a lot of this stuff because it's DC, but I'm very limited to books when it comes to this kind of stuff, man. Like I watch
Yeah,
it
I
all,
do
and when it
expect you
starts
to know a
actually
little more than
happening,
me.
yeah, when it all starts actually happening, I'm all over it. Like some of the stuff that's been announced, because a lot of this stuff has been in like at the very least concept for a really long time. Ever since before Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, they had that
Hmm.
initial like 10-year rollout plan, and we're seeing some of this just now coming to fruition. But
We got.
beyond that initial rollout plan, I think I think I got a little bummed out, seeing how things went, and I stopped really. I started taking it all with a grain of salt.
Hmm. I'm the same way. I think like once the movie started to fall apart, I was like, yeah, I'm just interested in comics, really. Like,
Mhm. And I, you, you know,
we got
I'm
five
still.
people though, so let's see. We got Freaky Louie. So thank you for showing up a random stream in the middle of a Friday afternoon.
The best time and place to be.
Right, slotted up. Was awesome on the show last night. I did watch, but my wife, she was feeling real sick. Like she came home from work feeling terrible and just wanted to lay down. And then the kids, I was trying to put them to sleep like right at 8, and everybody came on, and I was like, ah. But I did like listen the whole time, you know. So Slotted Up was great. Cardboard Crazies, awesome to see you here. You just joined the Burt family chat. Came in what, yesterday or
So
earlier
hopefully
today?
he'll be on there with everybody next Thursday. That'd be awesome.
Yes. I think I shouted out Freaky Louie, but always a good shout out. This is Cole, I'm pretty sure. Comic Burrito popped in real early. They were fast.
Is that the
And
left,
we got-
right, or bottom?
He would be on the right.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mustache.
Yeah.
Did you read Dead Dog's Bite?
I did not.
No.
Mhm.
It's like a weird, kind of a weird little comic, but Cole loved it. But there's like a pharmacist. It's like this little town, you know, and the pharmacist reminded me of Cole. Like he's got his button-up shirt and the mustache, and um, he's like kind of quirky. So like his arms are broken, and like the girl comes up to buy her medicine or whatever, and she's like, "What happened to your arms?" You know, and he's like, "Oh, nothing," you know. And then this other guy comes up out of nowhere. He's like, "What's going on with your flim flams?" He's like, "Oh, you know, they're just kind of flim flamming."
Your flim flam.
Like it's such a weird scene. It's a very like kind of like Twin Peaks, like the show, you know, like it's this weird little town and something strange is about it all, you know. He comes out of nowhere. Look at my flim flams.
It sounds like something out of Family Guy or something.
Yes. Yeah, it's like one of those like slightly askew kind of things, you know. And Comic Cage showed up. That's what's up. We
What
need to
is
get you
happening,
on a
Cage?
stream soon. So yeah, I mean, I think one of the bigger things I wanted to call out on this list of Warner Brothers shows is kind of the same thing with the Disney announcement. That's like 3 years worth of content. So when they announced Fantastic Four, everybody's like, "Oh, we're gonna have it like this year, you know, or like early next year." That's a lot of stuff, and I feel the same way about this Warner Brothers one. Like, how long is it going to take us to start seeing this stuff show up? You know?
That is, like you said, a lot of stuff. It's on different media though. You have video games, movies, and TVs. So I don't know. It's weird, man. Like with the Disney stuff, it's been a long drag out, and all these announcements out of everything they've talked about, all we've ever gotten is the WandaVision thing. And this is before investor call, even with the large list of stuff that we've already knew was coming.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like they're doing a little bit better with their scheduling, with today being an exception. Like with the DC streaming service, they announced a handful of stuff. They announced Titan, Swamp Thing, Young Justice. They had a handful of them.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did was they started it with Titans. And the very next week, Doom Patrol started. And as soon as that was over, the very next week, Swamp Thing started. You didn't go a single week without new content. And then what happened when the year wrapped around, you're doubling down. You're getting season 2 of Titans along with Harley is still running. And it took their content library and it just made it huge
slowly
real quick.
grows it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it did it fast. I mean, getting through that initial, like watching everything once a week and it started overlapping on stuff where schedule wise, and I heard you mention this a long time ago, where are we going to have the time to keep up with this content? So it worked out good because, you realize how difficult it is with most people's schedules to keep up with one show hardcore. But I don't see how Disney's going to pull all this off unless they're banking on people just not being an everything for me kind of person, which I kind of am. I want to see what's going on. I get FOMO when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the big difference is with Disney, it's all going on Disney Plus or in theaters, and ultimately trickling back down to Disney Plus. The problem Warner Brothers is going to run into is they have the CW stuff. They have the HBO Max stuff. They have the movies that'll be in theaters. They're kind of acting like the video game universe could even be involved somewhere along the way. So like that's a lot of different places. That makes it twice as hard. With Disney Plus, it's just about having enough hours to consume. Whereas with Warner Brothers right now, how it's looking is we're going to have to deal with also accessibility to each platform.
I think the only exception with Warner Brothers is the CW stuff, because everything is on HBO Max or in theaters. And with HBO Max, you get the same day release for this year, at least. Who knows what it'll look like moving forward. But the CW stuff is 100% free and available to everybody
Hmm.
the day after release. So I don't know how they're gonna I don't know how they're gonna do anything with the video game universe stuff. I did notice that like with the Arkham game they released, that's its own thing. With the Suicide
Hmm.
Squad movie, the team is like an amalgam of some characters from the new movie and the old movie. So I think they're just handling letting the games be the games. And with the animated stuff, it's always just been its own thing as well.
Yeah.
But all the
Yeah. I
Lego
mean,
stuff is on HBO Max now.
hmm I mean, I think DC, for whatever reason, I don't think it has to be this way, but thus far they've always succeeded the most whenever they kind of disconnect from the universe, and kind of make each thing its own thing. And so I hope they continue that instead of continuing to try to push for the like Marvel model, because
Yeah.
I don't think with as like disjointed and confusing as the DCU already is, even if we start talking Flashpoint and resetting all of that, I just think it's going to become so overwhelming once you add in like all the HBO Max stuff, assuming that's going to be connected as well. Like I'd rather
I
it all
think
just be kind of separate.
dude, leaning too heavily into the continuity, it's got its pros and cons. I remember seeing
Hmm.
Spider-Man Far From Home, and as soon as I saw that movie, I'm like, dude, I'm so sick of this crap right now. This is just not what I'm in the mood for. And I went and it made me want to watch the Andrew Garfield movies. Just this is just Spider-Man. It's not beholden to anything. It's not tied down with this crappy heavy plot. I'm not going to watch this and expect who the next disgruntled Stark employee villain is. It's just they did good with Aquaman in a sense that they tied it to Justice League and the other stuff with simply one sentence. That's all they needed.
Hmm.
Like Mira said, "You fought Steppenwolf and survived. We need you." Like that was it. That was pretty much all that was needed, and just let him have his
Yeah.
own journey.
Yeah. I
That's
hope they keep that up. I don't see the point in them having a massive universe.
and for Wonder Woman 2, for all its faults, it still did good just being its own movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was just not. It just wasn't too impressive of a story they were telling.
Yeah, I am a little surprised there's no Justice League Dark on this list.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
we're
one that
supposed
I
to
was
be a
excited
TV
for.
show on HBO. That's right. That didn't
Yeah,
even click.
yeah, that did not appear on here. I know they've talked about Green Lantern being a series on HBO Max, and that made the list. So that's kind of weird that they left off Justice League Dark. I hope that's not a sinking
Getting
ship at this
canned.
point.
I
Yeah.
don't see like there's still like I'm seeing stuff on social media about like people in talks to play Constantine and stuff. So I can't imagine
Hmm.
it getting scrapped.
I wonder
It
if
seems
they're
like
just
such a
not
solid
like.
concept.
Yeah, I mean, especially with how the Swamp Thing show played out. Like, I haven't watched it, so I can't speak to it itself. But
It was
everything I
fantastic.
hear is like it was fantastic, and DC messed up their taxes and stuff with
North
Justice League.
Carolina.
So they funneled money from Swamp Thing and cut like 2 episodes and made production suffer, and then it turned out to be the bigger hit of some of the things they've worked on. So hopefully all of that narrative can be bottled into something that says like, you know what, let's just go HBO Max, do a Justice League Dark, and have the Swamp Thing kind of be the catalyst for the formation of a Justice League Dark series.
Which would be fitting because that's where Justice League Dark formed in the comics, was inside of the pages of Swamp Thing.
Oh, look at that.
Like,
I'm a genius and didn't even know it.
I think you knew it. Yeah, I think you definitely knew it. But look how pivotal Swamp Thing has been, and like he's one of like the most all over the place characters in DC Comics. He's had uh, 2 movies already. He's had 2 separate television shows. He's had 1 animated television show. He's been around everywhere. You get Constantine's first appearance, who's his big own thing, as well as the Justice League Dark's formation. There's just been so much that's happened in the pages of Swamp Thing that people don't realize how pivotal he is. So I'm glad that they've actually got some good talent front running him, and I'm even more excited that it's been well received
Yeah.
because the
And
more people enjoy the comics and talk about it, like someone mentioned last night, people online talking about stuff is the best advertisement for anything.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, especially with Rom V running this new Swamp Thing series, as good as it is, I think people are going to start jumping on board with each additional issue. And so, again, it feels like the way they're trying to put Black Adam into the spotlight. And pushing Peacemaker is they're coming up with a show for him. Like it's all a little too non-coincidental.
Well, that's just the
So
normal nature of it, though. They do that with
mhm,
every movie. I mean, you want to
yeah,
market movies for sure. And I'm
hmm
excited about the Peacemaker thing. Again, I have not much experience with that character other than being a kid in the 90s, growing up in comic shops and stuff and seeing him and thinking it's a cool character design. But he was never in any of the stuff that I was reading as a kid or really paying attention to. And so now getting to experience a character for the first time and really dive into it's really exciting. And, I have nothing against John Cena. I think in a lot of ways he's like The Rock. He's very
he's an
entertaining in the
amazing
stuff.
actor. Yeah,
Yeah, he's very entertaining in the stuff that you
he's
watch him in.
hilarious.
Yeah. So playing somebody who's supposed to just be a kind of a crappy version of Captain America, like fully capable, but just personality wise and everything, he represents everything that Cap doesn't. Like I think that's an awesome
Yeah.
concept in itself.
Yeah, Cena's
Yeah.
quote on who Peacemaker is was simply, "He's the douchebag version of Captain America."
Yeah.
Like
So I
that's
think
awesome.
that's awesome. And
Like he's
I'm a big
aware, of what he's trying to
yeah
portray, and that
leans
works.
into it.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of classic costumes are just fine. Like I do like when they see like the way that movies and televisions kind of adapt costumes to make them work in their
Mhm.
shows. But again, growing up a huge Alex Ross fan and still being one, he kind of showed us that these classic spandex do work if they're done right as well. I mean, you can't
Mhm.
put someone in spandex inside of a like let him be a sore thumb where he doesn't fit in, but like seeing John Cena in the actual classic Peacemaker outfit to the letter just looks awesome to me with the odd shaped helmet and everything and the dove on his chest, like the long gun, it all works. It fits. There's no reason to
Yeah.
change it.
Yeah, I do think James Gunn, his like aesthetic sensibilities are pretty awesome. The way he handled the look in Guardians of the Galaxy was just
Hmm.
awesome. And the way that his Suicide Squad looks, it's awesome. Like he has the right sense of style to bring a lot of like comic book accurate, but he also knows like when to kind of pull back the comic bookiness of it in a very like well balanced manner. So I'm excited for the Suicide Squad. I think it's gonna be cool.
So I just looked up on my CW app because I knew that Swamp Thing was getting moved over to the CW at the when the streaming service for DCU was turning into just the comic service. Now I don't know why they sent the R-rated show over to CW, but it gets a TV 14 rating. So I was going to say like it is available to watch for free, but I don't necessarily recommend watching an edited version of it because
Yeah,
I think
Swamp
you
Thing,
would
I
lose
know
some
they're
elements
getting
of it.
CW and all that, but I would rather. There's no way they're not going to put it on HBO Max. So I
Yeah, it
think they're
just
just
wouldn't.
waiting for all the CW rights to kind of dissolve and move it over.
They just handed it to him too, like at the start of the year. I don't understand why. Like Stargirl, I can understand being over there because the style and tone of the show
Mm,
being intentionally like trying to mirror golden age elements. It kind of works, but that show even has some heavier moments in it, like the death of some kids and stuff like that. But Swamp
I
Thing
mean, I'm
doesn't
almost
fit.
positive it's a money thing where they're trying to recoup as much money as possible off of Swamp Thing, and so if the CW would hand them $1 million to run an edited version of it, they were willing to take it just to like put that back into the budget and get back in the black.
Well, and also in their defense, like logically speaking, if you wanted to send Swamp Thing out to a general audience on cable network, it's going to be edited anywhere you put it, unless you're watching it like on
Mhm.
FX on a streaming service, because that's about the only station that really doesn't pull their punches after a certain time at night. They'll go
Yeah, they
full
might could have
on,
got away with the regular version on Sci-Fi. Granted, I haven't seen it, so I don't know how
maybe.
far it goes. But Sci-Fi does like push their limits every now and then if they have a really good show.
The show Krypton that they did was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you watched that with Superman's grandfather, Seg.
No, no, I remember when it
Dude,
was coming out, but I never watched it.
it
It
was
has
really
Lobo in
cool.
it, don't
It does. It has Lobo, Doomsday, Brainiac, but
it? Wow.
Adam Strange is a front runner in it. He's kind of like the whole reason for this show being there story wise is he's trying to alter events in this time era to save Superman back in the regular one.
Yeah. Hmm.
Definitely fun.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Other than that, I mean, Zatanna seemed to be a big surprise to a lot of people. And wasn't there something else that everybody was calling out? I don't know.
Yeah,
What
Steve
what
says
is?
Batgirl and Zatanna are going to be shows.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, Comic-Cade asked thoughts on Man Thing. I don't have
I
any. I've never
I
read
just
any of him. I just know that he's basically, an attempt to beat Swamp Thing to the market.
great movie, very great movie. But yeah, he was a Rush Marvel property, like you said, to beat Swamp Thing to the market, which in the eternal back and forth between the big two, which really just the fans win in the end. Sometimes we lose in the end, but he's a cool
Yeah.
character. He does not have what Swamp Thing has. And I don't know if that's just merely because he didn't have Alan Moore write him and kind of create the foundation of his character,
Hmm.
but he's still really pretty much just like if you take Swamp Thing and remove the humanity out of him, that's what Man Thing is.
I mean,
But
my thing is probably exposing a character flaw here, but I really like Swamp Thing. I think he's an amazing character. So honestly, I have no interest in liking Man Thing. Like,
you don't need
there's
him.
yeah, like there's no point to me. Like, even if he is a great character, I don't even care to read any of his books because I already have Swamp Thing for that niche. I don't
I
need
did
another
just
monster in my life.
I ordered today my copy of well, I didn't order my copy. I just added it to my pull box for the upcoming Avengers Curse of the Man Thing story they're going to do. And I didn't do it for any interest in the story, but I will read it because I'm getting it, obviously. But it's one
That
of the
cover.
the Gleason covers I picked up. I picked up some stuff today, including my because I go to LCS on Tuesdays to get my DC stuff because I'm off, but then I'm not off again until later in the week to get the rest. But I picked up I think these are my favorite ones so far out of the white red. I think the blue one looks the best so far. So I picked those up and I get 2 copies each time because I'm going to keep a set for myself. But maybe when I hit that 1,000 subscriber giveaway, I want to be able to have a lot of stuff to go around. R.L. Stein about Ruined Man Thing. And you watch you follow comic tropes on Instagram.
Yeah,
I don't know if you caught it because I know Instagram is just a lot. But if you go back and
yeah.
look at what Chris posted recently, he did a sped up drawing that he was doing of Man Thing sitting there crying and Chris putting his hand on his shoulders like, "Don't worry, you'll get a good writer soon." And Chris is holding the R.L. Stein run of Man Thing.
Yeah, that's from the episode he did, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah,
What a great guy, man. I feel
yeah,
like speaking about Comic here, I feel like with his Forgotten Heroes, like that looks like early signs of creative level stuff like comic tropes does, like deep diving on different aspects of comics.
hmm yeah. That was one thing I wanted to point out. Like, he did an episode about R.L. Stein's Man Thing, and like R.L. Stein was a hero to me. Like, I wrote this story, a short story called "A Night in Werewolf Woods" on my parents' old Windows 3.1 computer.
It's all you could do on it is write
Yeah,
stories.
and I had it saved on like one of those giant floppy disks, and my dad
Yeah,
would make fun of me all the time because it was terrible. I was like 9 or 10 years old when I typed this out, but it was 100% the influence of R.L. Stein and Goosebumps. Like, it was written exactly like a Goosebumps story,
like
and
what was it, number 14, Werewolf of Fever Swamp?
there you go. So, to me, like, R.L. Stein is like a hero. Like, he was the first time that it was the first time I idolized something beyond just like the book itself or the characters. I was like, this guy wrote this. And so for me, like, he's kind of an icon in my life. But at the same time, like, I watched the Man Thing video and I'm like, it kind of shattered a lot of my perceptions on R.L. Stein in general. Like,
Well, it was
I
weird. Why
hadn't read any of his work. And then whenever he laid it out like that, I was like, oh yeah, these books were terrible. They were just a bunch of plot.
they were for kids though, like I was in third and fourth grade reading those and I thought like I was accomplishing big things. Like, dude, I
Mhm.
just read a novel. Granted, the words are about that far apart and that far line
And then I'd
between.
run home, watch the series, and I would feel like a bigger fan than everybody else watching the series.
I
Like,
remember
that's
when they started that series. Yeah, it was awesome. The
yeah,
haunted mask and stuff.
yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of my bit on R.L. Stein. That's great that they let him write comics, but maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the new Children of the Atom from X-Men?
Well, as far as reading it, I don't know.
I
Previews
haven't read it
wise,
yet either.
like, I don't. I kind of agree with what John's Comics with Kids said about it in his video. Basically,
What did he
like,
say?
Well, he said basically, it's kind of like younger versions of all the characters, which is cool. But a lot of people are going to buy this on spec simply because, just like Strange Academy, like there could be all these new characters, but his feeling is kind of like mine. How many of these characters are going to last?
Well, see,
If you're
what I
picking them up
saw,
for like $4 a book, I guess that's fine. You're just waiting to see if it turns into something. But for me as a reader, like I'm not that interested in picking it up because most of that stuff's probably never really going to matter.
so my thoughts on it were, and I put this in my new comic book day video last week, is when I looked at it, I'm like, Children of Adam, who cares? And then some time went on, and then it caught my eye again. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm sitting on multiple copies of Young Avengers that I picked up when it first came out off the shelf, and I loved reading. I was also younger, and so it was really cool to me to see it, but it hadn't been done so many times where they just have young kid versions of known characters. But because it looks like it's that same formula again, and because I think we're going to be going into this era where X-Men are being moved into the MCU, I think they might try to hold on to these characters a little more. Strange Academy is still specking out pretty well. So what I did is I went and picked some cover price copies up to be able to use in a giveaway. So I'm hoping that these things at least catch some at bare minimum $20 traction that I was able to get at cover price so I can use them as good giveaways. I'll read them, but it's of course I like my books that I own to make money and be worth stuff, but I also like to be able to do good giveaways that don't cost me a fortune.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I think that's a great way to spec that. If you can get like 2 copies for cover price, then no problem,
Yeah.
It's these people running out and overpaying because they might eventually matter, or these people that run out and buy like 5 copies and stuff just for spec purposes. That's where it gets annoying to me. But if people are picking up like 2, even 3 copies, like I don't care,
Well,
especially if you're only
A
paying
and B.
like cover price.
Yeah, I got one of each cover. Now, the shipment at my LCS was late, so I was actually there when he was unboxing them, and he had all the variants. There's 3 secret variants. He had one copy of one variant. And he offered it like, you grab whichever ones you want, and I'm like, dude, I'll leave it for the next guy. I see. Are they good? Yeah. Boy, eat them up. Finn just woke up. He had to let me know he likes these potato chips he's eating.
Yeah. That's my 3-year-old. Like she'll come all the way from the other room just to tell me like, "Oh, this food is really good." Well, thank you. I made it myself.
Yeah, keep it up. Those are bacon wrapped hot dogs. Eat up because you're my competition.
Ain't that the truth?
No,
Go ahead. Oh, is this the new Spider-Man?
This is the nonstop Spider-Man, which
okay.
I was definitely interested in wanting to read a Spider-Man title because I feel like I've been disassociated with him. And I saw an Alex Ross cover, which I don't have a clue what this has to do with the actual story. I don't know who this guy is supposed to be, but he's sitting here looking at these photos of these classic bad guys and villains and stuff. I'm like, well, that's an awesome cover. It's Alex Ross, and maybe the series will be good, maybe not, but I'll give it one issue and see if I want to continue picking it up. And the worst thing that happened is I got an Alex Ross cover. So
Yeah, it's not a bad cover. Have you seen the new suit in action?
I have not, but I will tell you that it's sold out at my LCSs. I was going to pick one of those up for a giveaway as well.
Probably spec, right? Surely nobody's picking that up desperate to find out why he's wearing an ugly suit.
I don't think anyone cares. It's just like back in the day, like you go back to the 90s and stuff when social media wasn't a thing. When Spider-Man put on another suit, no one cared. It's just him putting on a suit because he needs to wear it for this fight or that fight. It's really just change your clothes for need-to basis, There's nothing to it. Spider-Man's had countless suits, and only one of them is worth money. Just one.
Mm-hmm. And it went on to be its own character, so
yeah, and that's why it's worth money.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, it would have just been another suit.
Yeah, no, he did change that. He wore it for a long time in comics as his own suit. You know what I mean? But they have never done that again, where he changed costumes. And I mean, maybe the Spider-Man costume that Tony Stark gave him before Civil War, because they kind of included it into the movies down the road, But I mean, I've had that book and that storyline forever.
Yeah, I feel like that was like pretty much a dead concept, the whole Iron Spider thing. And then once the movie started once they brought Spider-Man in, people were like, oh, like Tony makes something for everybody. Like this could be it, you know? And then once it happened, that's when it really became a big deal. But everybody act like everybody's been reading about the Iron Spider for years. Like,
You know,
no.
I have all those issues, but it was cool in comics. But they did some goofy stuff, like the suit goes invisible, so he doesn't have to change clothes. He's just always wearing it on the outside. But you think someone like when you're walking around, people would notice that your clothes are pressed on really tight or balled up in the corner or something, you know, like
Yeah.
kind of weird
Yeah,
concept to play with.
We're probably overthinking it, but that seems
Kind of
it
my
would look
thing.
stupid. Like if you wrapped yourself in plastic wrap, what would you look like walking down the street?
You look like Peter Parker on college campus.
Wow. So, what have you read this week so far? I know you told me a bunch of stuff.
Just the Superman number 29, which Philip Kennedy Johnson is taking it over. And I was happy with his first issue. The internal artwork is nowhere near on par with Ivan Reis artwork, who was on it with Bendis, who I easily would liken him to a very, very refined, slightly more modern Neil Adams. But the artwork that's in it is kind of like to me, it took me back to my childhood a little bit because it's very like animated style, which I actually enjoyed a lot. You know, it fit in. They're talking about like in the story context, this golden age of how a kid looks at his dad and how when he's growing up, there's this golden age where they seem invincible, and because they seem invincible and you're by their side, it makes you fearless, like nothing can stop you. And then you see them get hurt, or you see them have a moment of being human, and it just shatters your world on some level. And that's exactly what Jonathan's dealing with in here. So I was really impressed with the direction it's going in. It was a very solid start.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've heard pretty much across the board is the artwork leaves something to be desired, but and the story itself in this first issue wasn't substantial, but people seem kind of excited to see where it all goes down the road from here.
I think there's a little misdirection that happens a lot of time in comics. And I was talking to someone else who read the Milestone book this week. And like if you're looking at what's going on story wise in this, you're looking in the wrong place. What you need to be looking at is the actual story they're telling of Superman is about to die. How is Jonathan going to fill his shoes? That's what the story is. Everything else happening around that simple concept is just to point you in the direction of that concept. And it's a nobody villain they're fighting. It's a villain that can actually hurt Superman. Like there's radiation going off that causes him to be weak, but that's not the relevant part. The relevant part is they can hurt him. That's all that's relevant about it. And this is the fight that Jonathan knows from being in the future with the Legion that Superman dies in. So he's trying to talk his dad into not participating in stuff, and just that's the story to be told is if Superman dies, what is Jonathan going to do? And everything else is just dressing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's quite common. People get lost in the details all the time, so.
Happens with me. How'd Clown Hunter get in Harley's apartment?
Yeah. My 8-year-old, she is the absolute worst for that. Like we'll ask her what happened, and she gets caught up in these little bitty details about like what was in the corner of the room or something. It's like that's not even relevant to anything happening. And we always make fun of her because like she'll start to tell us a story. We're like, oh, here we go. This is just gonna be 30 minutes of her trying to collect her thoughts as she goes, You'll
miss it when that time goes. Finn already does that now. He gets excited trying to tell a story, and then he stops even using words. He was there yesterday. And he just throws a lasterday at the end. Anything that didn't happen right now was lasterday. Future, past, just if it wasn't present, lasterday.
My 3-year-old, hers is actually.
Like
she'll get completely off track, and then all of a sudden she's like starting to make less and less sense, and all of a sudden it's actually, and then she like gets herself back on course, and then she'll start to drift again.
That's awesome.
She'll say, actually, no.
Like, wait a minute, I'm spinning my wheels.
So let's talk about the Milestone returns, because we both read that, and so kind of I don't think most people read it because it's digital first or whatever. I mean, what did you think? Because you read the first part, right? You went to
Yes,
the. I mean, the second part of this book, but like whenever it came out for Fandom, right?
I
Did you
didn't
read it then?
for Fandom. I didn't read it back then.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember them announcing it Fandom, but I thought it released this week. I thought it came out on Tuesday.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean I remember them talking about the milestone returns thing for
Mhm.
Fandom, but I didn't even watch most of that stuff, so
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
just
today
hearing it
was
through
the
the
actual.
news.
I think this week was the actual release that they spoke about. Like that was the announcement that
Oh,
it was
okay.
coming at Fandom. Because I watched the whole milestone segment. Me and my wife pretty much watched all of Fandom.
Yeah,
Like
I imagine.
we ordered shirts. I'm not even lying. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah,
You are who it was made for.
yeah, like I got the one that if they say Fandom, it was like actual shirts, like you would have gone to the Coliseum to the event. And hers
Yeah.
says Fandom, and it's the colors with Harley Quinn in the last letter. Mine is Fandom in green with Joker in the last love letter.
Mm.
So I'm an actual Joker fan. Like I enjoy him, which is
So
good for me.
so what did you think about this Milestone Returns book comic, I guess? What did you think of that?
I thought it was good. It was a good intro, just like how DC Rebirth was or Infinite Frontier issue 0. We have a lot of characters that have not been present for a long time, and they're trying to introduce us to them and introduce new readers to them and let us know where they are. They did a good job of doing that. I think some of it for me, because while anyone can read these, they're written for a specific audience. That was the point of Milestone. It's written for the African American audience. Now,
Hmm.
anyone can enjoy them, but there's certain perspectives and certain aspects and things that I don't necessarily automatically see them or look at them from that way. So a lot of it can catch me off guard and I have to sit there and put more thought into it than I would normally because it's coming from a different point of view. And I thought that was actually really cool
Hmm.
because like right off the bat, the inception of a lot of these characters and Virgil in this iteration of him, he's at a rally, just like we've had currently, and you have police officers on the other side of these protesters, and they open fire on them unprovoked.
Yeah.
Now, initially that caught me off guard. I'm like, dang, that's just kind of like just out there. Like these cops are just going to shoot on this crowd. But then it set in with me that, okay, well, they're using less than lethal, so they would be more prone to fire than if they were using lethals. And then I immediately thought of, thanks to Zack Snyder's awesome storytelling ability, if you look at the beginning of Watchmen, when he's showing you those, no, in all seriousness, at the beginning of Watchmen, when
Yeah.
he's calling back to those real life events back in Vietnam era with the protesters, they were standing there across from the National Guard, and in
Hmm.
Snyder's little clip of it, she puts the flower into the gun before they fired on him. That really happened. Like
Yeah.
so,
That's the
this
Kent
stuff,
State.
yeah. So these things actually do happen. Now Dakota is not a
Hmm.
real place, but they're it's not far fetched at all what they're showing. It's
No,
rare, but
because
it's
I feel
horrible.
like
But when all that had to come to me to get me back in there.
I feel like they didn't quite say it, but this was clearly a walkout protest. And we remember those. That just happened in 2020. Like students in high schools were walking out of class. They were evacuating the building simply in protest of what was being done in the streets. So to me, like it was very apt. I do think that the storytelling was a little wonky on this one. Like I read it once and I was like, okay, I can piece it all together. Once I read it a second time, knowing where it was all going and how it all falls into place, it made a lot more sense. And so I'm afraid some of the disappointment in it is actually how poorly structured some of the storytelling was in it. It definitely felt like they were attempting to do the DC thing, but they missed the mark just a little bit, I think.
Yeah, they. I'm not sure who the writers and artists were on it. To be honest with you, I didn't even look. But the initial artist, it was very very digital. Like it was like an over digital
Mm-hmm.
saturation, and it kind of threw me off as well. It took me a second to get into. But talking kind of about like the story didn't hit to mark, but how looking in the right direction when I'm reading a book, it was kind of hard to look in the right direction because like kind of the in
Mm-hmm.
my faceness that caught me off guard of the whole shooting unprovoked thing, like, and how everyone got their powers. And me and Comic K talked about it for a second, how everyone just got their powers and they really didn't address it. They thought it was no big deal. Well, it wasn't supposed to be taking up time in the story. That isn't what the story was. It was how are these people who are now in a situation that need help, how are they going to be treated? And we saw the hospitals overpacked and pretty much based off your income, if you're getting treated or left in the hall, or if you had no means of money, you were just thrown out. And that's kind of like where the bad guy faction is coming from, is from the people who were not
Yeah.
taken care of, So that's where the story was. So it took me a second reading it to kind of get my right perspective lenses for this book on.
Well, but whenever they launch the chemicals, right, they specifically say that it's like untested. They tell you that like this is an experiment. Actually, the police specifically refer to it as a new thing, a new weapon, a new tool. And so then they launch it, and whenever like they're like, "Oh my god, the kid's face is melting off," and some of the cops are like, "We need to get out of here before we become part of this." Some of the cops are concerned for the kids, and some of the cops are still like, "No, well, they deserve it. That's what they get," So to me, there was not really an underreaction to what went wrong there, And then they show you like how all the different people are treated, and how. And to me, that was the most significant aspect of the story, was how they turned it into a wealth income inequality issue, because that's where we're at. Like 2020 started with a lot of like the racial tensions, but whenever a lot of the allies came into play, what became very apparent was that there's more of a wealth inequality issue here than even just race alone. And then whenever you look at the beginning of 2021 with all the GME and the stonks and everything, the next warfare is class warfare. And I think that's what this book did really well, was it took a story that started out purely about racism and morphed it into a class issue. And I think that is extremely reflective of where we went over the last year and a half.
Yeah, and that was I guess like Milestone hits a little bit differently when you're an adult, because I remember flipping through some Milestone books, and as a kid you don't really have that big of a comprehension of what's going on in the world, especially outside of your own little family unit, But Milestone thing back when it first came out was hitting on all these racial divide moments and these class moments and everything. And now this is just what it looks like in 2020. So if these stories don't hit you on some kind of level where you might kind of pull back for a second, or you might feel aggravated at these events, like it's not doing its job, because that's what it's intending to do, is draw attention to these hot button topics. And I think that it did deliver on that front. The writing definitely could have been better. The art style for that first story was very oversaturated, but you kind of get into it.
Yeah.
But it was
there was
fire.
There was parts of the dialogue that were good, but there was a lot of parts where it was really clunky.
Yeah.
And the artwork overall just completely left me desiring better. I wish they had got some better artists there.
It did have different artists on the different stories, right? Like with Rocket and
Icon.
Yeah,
there's like different sections of the book. Yeah.
Now the hardware,
the Icon and Rocket part I really liked. The way that they handled Icon, like he's such a Superman character that I wanted to hate him. And then like he's like, yeah, I go all over the world and I hit Taco Tuesday wherever I'm at, that was just endearing. I was like, dude, I like this character. Like I want to know more.
Well,
and then whenever he's like giving the speech and stuff, it makes him really interesting.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I don't care about none of y'all. I don't want to rule y'all. Y'all aren't interesting enough. And what did he like in it? She's like, you don't want to be the king of the anthill, do you? I'm like, yeah, that's tight.
Yeah, whoever really wrote that Icon
volumes to Homelander,
like, oof, yeah.
Now, yeah, like really I saw the Taco Tuesday thing, and initially I thought of back in the Justice League International days in like the late '80s and stuff. Martian Manhunter was a big part of that team, and that's where they gave him his obsession for Oreos. So now we have this Martian with like Superman level powers obsessing over tacos. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I like the way that that Rocket is portrayed in that as well. Like she wants to help her city, but like it's not quite Batman-esque, but kind of like she wants to help her city get the help that they need. Batman wants to fix everything. Like he's OCD. It doesn't matter if other people can help. He wants to be the one to fix it. Whereas Rocket was played more like, I want to get the attention drawn to the community so that the government will step in and do their part, so that the community members can step up and do their part, so that other people have opportunities to help instead of it just being me.
Now let's talk about how cool the intro to him was real quick, because on that, like, she said that she had an issue because her mother didn't feel safe walking home from work because the drug dealers in the neighborhood. Cut to Icon. All right, we're in Columbia. We're about to be at the manufacturing plant for the drugs. Like he's tracing all the way back to the source and took
Yes.
her over. Like that was like that's very big picture kind of guy, but it still just seems so trivial to him. Like this is the obvious conclusion. This is we don't start in your neighborhood. We go the obvious start is at the
We go to
conclusion
the
itself.
source and cut it off,
Yeah.
cut off the head, and then we can cut up the body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was just I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is really cool.
because there's no days of the week that start with B. Duh. You have Taco Tuesday or Taco Thursday.
Thor's
Cannot
Day.
I don't know what day starts with the B though. Bad Friday, Bad Monday. There you go. Bad Monday burrito. Yeah, and then the second half of the book was the part that was from Fandom, right? That they released with that.
Again, I'm not sure what they released at Fandom. I was under the impression that 100% of it was released on Tuesday.
Because it's divided. There's two separate stories listed, and the first one was all the stuff we were just talking about. I think
And the second one was like the lead into the original
the Big Bang. That was the first half of the book. Yeah, and then the second half was a more like godlike perspective on everything, and the characters were all a little bit different and stuff. So I got the impression they released that part last year for Fandom, and then they just put it into this book with this new stuff to like make it a full release,
Yeah.
Well,
that was only like what 10. It was only 10 pages in the second part, so it was really small. That was almost like a sample.
Yeah, I think it was like a sample preview thing that they handed out for Fandom, or maybe they were supposed to if people went, but then
and it didn't happen.
Shut down. Yeah, so maybe that's how that happened. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they released some sort of comic with all the milestone stuff then, and then this included that.
Yeah,
but I didn't like it. I did not like the second part that much. It was a really boring read. The characters were different in ways that I didn't really care for.
Well, it clearly didn't fit in like story wise.
Yeah,
like as you get Virgil like in full static mode at that point, and when in the milestone returns, he wasn't in full static mode.
Mm-hmm.
You saw him in his outfit. What do you think of his outfit, kind of resembling the TV show versus like his original release with the all black outfit with the hat on?
Man, I don't know, because to me, both of them are really good. Like I know wasn't he in like the New 52 and stuff like that? And
they brought him into the real world and took him out of Dakota or something, didn't they?
Yeah, something. Yeah, I know he's had other costumes that people really don't like, but I like his original one, and I really like how he looked in the show. That was my introduction to him. I thought the yellow and blue glasses were cool, and the logo on the shirt, and the like trench coat, like that was all cool. So, I mean, this wasn't quite as strong to me as those first two, but it still wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. I didn't really care for how they did his hair though, with like the metal. There's like a gold ring on one of them and stuff. Like I didn't care for his hair that much.
Like he's on his way to be a predator.
Yeah.
Need more rings.
Yeah. But overall, I liked him as a character in this. I love how in the beginning he wasn't even going to go to the protest. That's not his scene. But then because of a girl, he's willing to go. Like everything. Yeah, like everything felt very human. He's
going fishing for some snapper.
Yeah. Like the reason he fought the bullies, that was great. I enjoyed that. I thought that made sense. I think it shows a lot of great character that he stood up to the bullies about his powers, because it would have been really weird if he basically avoided the bullies and stuff, and then he gets powers and goes back. Like that's just like some Chronicle stuff, And,
yeah,
I mean,
that was a great movie.
Yeah. And one thing I always like is a character that goes too far, like Spider-Man not stopping the burglar. That's great because it gives him a tragic beginning as a hero, Man of Steel, I like that Superman snapped Zod's neck because now he knows what to fear. Like you have no fears if you can't die and you're a god, but whenever you accidentally go too far like that, I think it gives you something to fear and builds a lot of character into you. So I like that Static like stood up to the bullies once he had his powers and stuff at the end.
And went too far.
He could go too far here, and then it's something that he's going to struggle with as a hero moving forward,
we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to be keeping up with it. Did you
Yeah.
did you get the DC Universe app to read it, or did you use a different
No,
digital app?
I signed up with Universe Infinite or
Awesome.
Infinite
Yeah,
Universe, whatever it is. Yeah. So
awesome.
I'm trying to get my best bang for my buck out of that too. So,
Dude,
um,
I probably I read all of Convergence in 13 days. Now I don't know if you're familiar with what Convergence is, but
uh,
it was the slimming down of the New 52 multiverse.
mm,
It was like the Crisis on Infinite Earths of New 52 in a sense. But what they did was they took aspects of everything from the history of DC and touched on it, like all the different worlds, all the different time eras. And it was a 96 issue event.
good.
96 issue event. I read all of it in 13 days. So I'm good for the next 2 years when it comes to value. Because it's
Wow. Yeah,
like
that's a
what,
good deal.
$5-6 a month to have the app.
Uh, I want to say it's 8. It's something 99. I can't remember if it was 6.99 or 7.99, but
Well, I buy it annually too, so I think you get a break when you get the
yeah,
annual
it's
one.
$75 annually. It's like 74.95 or something.
Like that being said, like I picked this up today, which is the final volume of Earth One Wonder Woman from Grant Morrison. Like I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have all the Earth One stuff. It only comes out in hardback. That's the only way to get it.
Yeah.
And this is a $30 book. That's almost half the annual membership. So there's tons of stuff on there like that. Like just like
Hmm.
how much bang for your buck you get, it's hard not to get your
Yeah.
values
I
worth.
had talked to oh, hey. Pretty I need to reread this one because I read it once, but I was like super exhausted. And I don't know, like it was interesting, but the art was a little weird to me. Like it's very stylized, and in some ways it's stylized. It's really cool. In other ways, it feels a little weird, a little off, like. So I need to reread that one. But it was cool. It wasn't bad. It's at least 2 stars. Oh, so snap. I need 2 and 3.
What did Anthony?
Yeah, Jeff Johns did the
Uh,
Batman ones. They're fantastic.
Daddy, what did Anthony?
No, I don't think they're on there. I'm just giving like
Are they on the
price.
DCUI?
Daddy, what did Anthony?
I don't believe so, but I was just giving like price comparison for like a hardback volume of something, which they have plenty of collected volumes of stuff on there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Cole, the one on the right. And I had talked to him a little bit on Discord. He told me to read All Star Superman.
I've been telling you
Kingdom
to read.
Come.
I've
I know. That's why I take
those are the two that I always
recommendations from multiple people.
find out which one.
When one person, yeah, because like when one person says like one book, but nobody else suggests it, I'm like, okay, like that's probably just them, you know. But like you and Cole, I trust both of your DC opinions. So whenever I ask y'all both tell me to read Kingdom Come, All Star, and Tom King's Batman run. I'm like, okay, well these are 3 things I probably need to read.
Now you need to definitely save Kingdom Come. Like I had the pleasure of reading Kingdom Come when I was young, but I also grew up with comics. So by the time I read Kingdom Come, I was already familiar with the vast history of all these characters and stuff, you know. And I didn't just like have comics around. Like we talked comics in my house growing up. That's just the normal conversation. Like how my son is always asking me about superheroes and stuff. My daughter, when she's over here, it's just 20 questions about comics. That's how I was with my dad. So when I read Kingdom Come, I already had a lot of context of what these moments, how they were supposed to reflect and what they're supposed to mean. So get as much in as you can before Kingdom Come, and it'll be even better. The most that you can pack in before that event, it gives that event way more meaning.
Maybe Cole is still on here or at least listening, so he can chime in. I hope I don't start a fight. He suggested these Batman books. It's like I don't know. It's just like 2 or 3 comics, but apparently it's like got something to do with Bruce Wayne and like all of his different personalities or something. He said everybody like nobody ever talks about it, but it's a good little 3-issue story. I wonder if
Is this the one where he's strung out on pills?
I don't know. I think he said it was like it came out like at the end of the 80s. What's up? What's up? It is afternoon now.
Yeah, it's like now afternoon.
But yeah, that's something he had suggested also. That one, The Many Deaths of Batman.
I don't know if I've read that one.
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up because I know I have it over here somewhere. It's like 522 through 525 or something. It was when they start killing all the people who trained him. That's what it was. He meets all the people that trained him or something like that.
All right, and for the record, here we go. Batman Earth 1, Superman Earth
Oh,
1, Green Lantern Earth 1, Wonder Woman Earth 1. Boom. Like they're crushing it on this thing. Since the rollover of the new year, when they've gone strictly comic book out. Like I even talked about it on a video because DC sent me an AOK for being a long-term member, but they've really beefed up the content on here. And for them to have the Earth 1 stuff is kind of a big deal. The Green Lantern stuff is fantastic as well. Like it's just crazy the way that they approach all this stuff.
yeah. That's what's up. Mortal Hulk had 3 awesome covers.
No, it had 3 covers. There was one awesome one though. If you're competing with Alex Ross, this not a competition.
It's a hands down competition.
Yeah, but I did like the Joe Bennett cover that they did for this issue because it was a homage to 105.
Here you go. He's talking about Nottingham right here. But yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like it's real dark and distorted and like surreal, you know.
Yeah, I saw some of the page work from it. It looked pretty cool.
Pretty
I plan
gruesome.
on giving it a shot. Teen Titans was awesome. Jeff Lemire wrote it. But there's 2 Batman, 2 Green Lantern, 3 Superman. So that one was the first one to come out and wrap up. 2 Teen Titans and 2 Wonder Woman. So we're supposed to get 3 volumes of all of them when it's all said and done, which is weird because they need to give us another Superman one because it's been years since that one finished, and the rest of them just been trickling out. And they announced one of the early solicitations before the whole Future State thing when they were talking about DC moving forward, when everyone was waiting to see what titles are going to be there. They're sitting there talking about, we're going to roll out the Earth 1 stuff and keep it moving. And people are like, cool, but what books are coming out? But they jumped out the gate with Wonder Woman this week, so that's really cool. They're fantastic, all of them across the board. I mean, look at who's writing them. You have Jeff Johns, Morrison, Lemire, J. Michael Straczynski on Superman. I mean, it's solid talent on them.
Did you read Carmen? That seems to be the hot book that we're talking about this week.
I didn't. I just heard. I mean, I knew about it. I included it in my new comic book day video for this previous week, but I didn't read the solicitation because I didn't know if there would be something that I'd pick up or not, you know. But after hearing Jason slotted up talk about it last night, like I'm intrigued by the concept of it. It sounded really, really cool. So I might give it a read.
I'm gonna have to reread it. It was another one I didn't read on like full energy, and it wasn't bad by any means. It was just it felt like something that I wasn't getting. You know, like it's very artsy. There's not really any structure to it. You're basically watching a dead chick walk through the world naked.
What about that sounds horrible? What doesn't sound good about that?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, the actual chick Carmen, she's pretty cool because she looks like what's it called? Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
she looks like
I've
that the whole
Coco.
time. So that's pretty cool, and like I'm kind of interested in her, but the main chick and stuff, like that part really didn't grab me. Yeah, it's weird, but I don't know. I'm gonna reread it and see how I feel about it once I read it twice.
What is that guy's name? DePiercy's Comics? Is the Monera cover the variant of the month kind of flavor? Was that the white background with kind of that classic?
It's like a red tomato-based sauce they put on spaghetti.
Monera cover. Yeah, but each month Marvel kind of has like matching variants across all their titles. They did the Ross Timeless ones. They did the Alien Versus one. They did the Indigenous Peoples one. I think that they're across the board. They're doing the ones with the white background with kind of it's not Kirby work, but it's kind of just classic Kirby era looking. Like I've seen a lot of those variants. I don't know if I've seen one on all the titles, but I saw like a Thor one and stuff. But there was
This is Dan Piercy, by the way. Pretty sure his first name's Dan.
okay.
He came from the Burrito Discord. He's got a
Oh,
channel
nice.
too. I don't think he's been doing like super regular content, but he does like hangouts and stuff, like beer and comics. Yeah.
That's funny.
I read Scout's Honor. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that series, and this third one didn't disappoint.
It's still going strong.
Yes. Deep Beyond, I didn't really enjoy as much. Like the first Deep Beyond issue, like was very intriguing. Like there was this whole world they don't expose; they just kind of describe it the whole time, and like you get some glimpses into what it might be. And so I was like, oh yeah, the second issue, we're gonna go out into this world and we're gonna learn about all this craziness and stuff. And the second issue is like just straight like they went into the world and it's crazy, except for the whole focus of the story is on the characters and like their relationships to each other. And I was like, that's not interesting. Like I want to know about this whole world they're in, and you're telling me like, oh, this is so lost twin sister. I'm not into it, you know. I need to read
That's one of
Americana.
her.
Post
Dude,
Americana.
that was on your
Yeah.
that was on your list before that first issue came out. You were talking about that. Is it post Americana or just Americana?
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure it's Post Americana that he's talking about. Yeah, it's an Image title, and I didn't get a copy of it, so I never actually took the time to read it, but I need to because this is like the third or fourth issue, so I haven't really heard anybody talking about it either, though. Which doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
It just means people missed it like I did. Because I didn't even. That was like the last one that I put on that list that week. Because it almost like popped up out of nowhere on me. Yeah, Post Americana. So I don't know. I think a lot of people got blindsided by it.
And I think when I was getting ready to come out, you had mentioned how it's another post-apocalyptic book, and we're kind of pointed out in that conversation how many post-apocalyptic books are kind of dropping these days. And when I was watching your interview from last, I think you dropped on them on Tuesdays. When you dropped that interview Tuesday for Adam and Eternity, he was talking about how that book is a post-apocalyptic world as well. I'm like, and that was the only part that didn't seem intriguing. Every other aspect of that book just kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the only thing with Adam and Eternity is that is a post-apocalyptic world, but like on a god level, you know, like this is like heaven post-apocalypse, not like Earth post-apocalypse.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool when he was talking about the concept of like kind of walking into a bar where all these old retired gods are and everything. I'm like, damn, I never
to be a fly on that wall.
Yeah, you got a lot of them that are off duty these days, you know, between like Thor and Zeus and like if they are real, what are they doing with their days? You know, how do they spend their time?
I would like to see that guy like keep doing that kind of work because he has like such a strong love and knowledge of the DC universe. I can only imagine the kinds of things he would do if, you know, DC were to hire him.
He said that he has a folder that he has stuff that he sends out. I'd love to get into his folder.
Yeah. Isn't the New Gods, is that DC?
Absolutely. Oh, you can't.
Yeah. Well, I know Marvel and DC both have one, the New Gods and
Jack Kirby left Marvel for DC in the early 70s, created the New Gods, was over there for a while. When he went back to Marvel, the first thing he rolled out was the Eternals, which is their version of the New Gods. But that's where you get like obviously Darkseid, the Forever People. You get Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Orion. There's so many characters that come from it.
And they're not doing anything with them right now, right?
That's where not doing anything much at all. They were mildly present in Future State. Orion was in the Green Lantern title. Remember John Stewart? That's how he saved the day. Was Mother boxing Orion in for a minute to scare everyone off as their red god, whoever they were worshiping that they had never seen.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I hope they do.
You know what wasn't in his DC folder that I bet he added to it after he talked to you?
Do what?
Old Man Barry. I said, you know what wasn't in his folder that he probably rushed to add to his folder after talking to you? Yeah, your Old Man Barry story is getting jacked. Someone's going to jack that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure somebody will. Somebody has to see the potential in this. Like I've got like this working concept of an outline in my head of how I would handle it. Oh, I
And
guess,
now's the time to do it.
yeah, right. I need to like write it all out. So I guess the last one we should touch on. I read Homesick Pilots. Really cool. Like they kind of like I don't know. They've been like slowly stabbing this knife in, and then this issue they kind of just started twisting it, and it's gonna be interesting where Homesick Pilots goes after this. But what about Batman Urban Legends? What are your thoughts on this so far? You've only read the Red Hood one, right?
Yeah, I'm one story in. That's where I've got it bookmarked. So I read the Red Hood part, which my God, was it awesome.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
The quote on the back just really hit home. He idolizes you, Master Bruce, and you let him down. We let him down.
Oh my God.
He doesn't need Batman trying to fight him. He needs Bruce Wayne trying to save him. I'm like,
Yes.
oh,
like how good was the emotional beats on that? But at the same time, like the action stuff and like the characterizations, oof, it was good. It was really good.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's a 6-parter because I was like, man, I want more of this already.
Yeah, I'm a big Jason Todd is my favorite Robin. He's admittedly the worst Robin, but he's the most interesting ward that Batman's had outside of Starro or Jarro in the Justice League run, because Jarro was just amazing. So little Starro that was Batman's best bud.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I read the Poison Ivy Harley Quinn story. It was good. Nothing bad about it.
I'm a couple pages into that one, and I like how they're kind of mirroring the dynamic from the animated series really well.
Yeah, it's very well written. I like the way that they just accept that like they're in a relationship and stuff, and there's no attention drawn to that. It just feels like very modern and very natural, and I really like that. There's no action at all in it, and so that's great that it's part of an anthology that does have action in the other stories. But on its own, it is just kind of like a dramatic reading of something that could have been done in prose.
Yeah. Now, I'm excited to get to the Grifter one. I haven't got there, obviously, but I think Grifter's awesome. It was awesome that he kind of got bled over from the Wildstorm universe. He came with Jim. I mean, all those characters did, but they shelved them all except for him. But
I enjoyed that one. It didn't feel totally satisfying at the end for some reason. I don't know why. But the story
is it going to continue? Is it a one-off?
I didn't pay attention. I'd have to look it up. It is one of those that I want to read. Like the Harley Quinn one, I'll probably never read that a second time. I already read Red Hood like 3 times because it was so good. But I do want to reread the Grifter one. I've only read that once. And then what's the last story in there?
That's the Outsiders. That's the other one I was going to say I'm really pumped for because of the roster, man. The roster of the Outsiders is fantastic.
Yeah, I really like the Outsiders too.
That's why, I mean, they've had their own book for so long. The Batman's the team that he put together, but even when it was coming out, I wasn't picking it up. And then as soon as it's kind of gone, I'm like, man, I feel like I've missed out on something, and I miss it now that it's not here. So it's really cool that to have them back, you know what I mean, in this capacity. Because getting that taste of them in Future State made me think to myself, why haven't I read The Outsider since 1 year later? Like when they did the 1 year later jump in DC after the events of Infinite Crisis, the next issue when it all started literally jumped up 1 year after everything had settled. And like there's all kinds, like Bloodhaven had been destroyed by Kimmo and all kinds of stuff. But the Outsider stuff was really cool back then, and that was the last run of Outsiders I've read. But I feel like I wasted a lot of time not keeping up with them. It's a really awesome list of characters.
Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed the Urban Legends thing. Like, I mean, I already kind of like anthologies anyway, but I don't know how that Red Hood story would have played out over 22 pages without getting kind of stale or being like a 2-issue little story, you know? So I like that it takes parts across shorter formats, you know?
So hats off to Chip Zdarsky. Fantastic writer. Gave a Spider-Man life story, given us Daredevil. Where is it? We'll go get it. No, I thought we brought it in. Go look in your bedroom. It might be in there. But that story, that Red Hood chapter of that was better than the entire story that they told in Three Jokers on Jason. Like you got more sense for how he feels and what he's going through, and like the real stretch it is for him to be a hero than
Yeah.
you got in all of Three Jokers.
I love how he was able to portray like the highs and lows of his life without it feeling like some super extreme swing, you know, like he felt like a real human because like even if you're like depressed and manic and stuff, like it doesn't feel that extreme in your life. It may appear outside, you know, other people might see your life and be like, holy crap, like this guy lives two extreme lives, you know, but the way that it feels as the person, you know, it's going to not feel like an extreme swing. And I really like the way that he was able to portray Jason Todd's life as like these two crazy extremes without it feeling like two extremes, you know, it just felt like two sides of one coin.
Yeah, it was nuts. And the ending was a big shocker ending.
I was like, where is this going to end? And then I was like, oh, okay.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, and The Outsiders, it also feels like perfectly paced for the page count. The Grifter one feels like a little long for the page count that it had, and I mean, again, Harley and Poison Ivy, that one felt a little long, but again, I think it could have just been a prose story somewhere else, and it would have worked just as well.
Yeah.
Chewing on her cup. Get your own cup. Break it. I'm gonna take one of your.
All right, man. Well, it sounds like you know,
Finn likes to chew on his sister's cup.
sounds like she could use some assistance over there. So
Yeah,
you ready to get out of here?
you're about to go hit the Target drive-through, go pick up our order.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're about to have to add another sippy cup to it. Finn gave up pacifiers on his own like early on. He didn't really keep up with them, but now that sister has them, he wants to play with them because it just seems like something new. So her sippy cups and stuff like that, just mentioning. You want to say hey to Ryan?
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Ma.
Ma.
You wanna say hey?
Ma.
Are you having fun? Where's your Saba?
Where's your Power Ranger sword?
Diaper bag.
Look at him. It's in the diaper bag.
Hey, man, you got to keep them handy. You never know when you'll need to call on him.
Go grab your diaper. I'll change you and stuff before we ride, buddy. What do you mean? Oh, that's a good thing.
Right?
Saggy bottom boys right now. He just woke up from his nap. It's time to get it. All right, man.
All right. Anything you want to tell the people about? We still have 6 of them.
Nah.
Nah.
I gotta check it out if you want. If you enjoy Ryan, he's over there with me a lot as well.
Yeah, we'll be on there Sunday for At Week's End. And we'll talk about all these books, but in a more spoilerific format.
Yeah, we'll have them read by then.
Yeah.
What happens is I have big plans to read everything through the week, and then the week happens, and I get to the end, and I have to crunch. I got to crunch.
I feel the same way. I'm always like, man, I have all these days to read all these books, and then I'll read some of them like 2 and 3 times, and then it's like, oh crap, I'm supposed to talk about this book tonight, and I haven't even started it.
Mine is I have all these days of reading, but then my days are like, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plans? What are those?
Yeah. That's a good point. Like I was trying to take a nap and the wasp interrupted it. I should have just read a book instead. I would have had a book in my hand. I could have rolled it up and hit the wasp. But yeah, I have what's the day? Today's Friday. So my new comic book day drops tomorrow, as always on Saturdays, and then Sunday, like you said, at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing the spoiler filled At Week's End show on my channel. And then I have my hot pick video of the week that I do with Chris, the comic vet, that posts every Sunday on his channel. And then I've got tons of stuff that I've been excited to show everybody, but this past week has just been dominated by live streams and giveaways and stuff. So I'm hoping to put out some unboxing. They seem so mundane, but they're really fun to do because that's how I get Finn to hang out with me and do these, which he enjoys, So got some stuff that hopefully me and Finn will get to show off to everybody this coming week.
That's awesome. Exciting. Yeah, I'll be over there on Sunday, but let's see. Yesterday I had our DC review, our Future State review dropped. So check that out on either of our channels, and also Steve at Burke Family 54. He kind of put the video together, so I guess he deserves a little credit.
A little bit.
And then today, my new comic book day video dropped. Surprise video dropping tomorrow. It's only like 3 minutes, but it'll be worth it.
Trailer?
No, not a trailer. It's just an
Oh.
extra video I happened to make this week. Sunday, I do have a trailer coming though, and then Tuesday I'll have another conversation out. So
Yep.
it's been
I
a pretty
noticed with
packed
your
week.
new comic book day, you're adding more and more little details and stuff to them.
Yeah, check this out, man. I accidentally look. There's Steve now, out of nowhere.
Editing video right now.
Say his name, and he might appear. Yeah. So I
His
figured
name
out how
3
to,
times
like,
he appears in your house.
yeah, right. I figured out how to like utilize my videos as templates. So that means I don't have to rebuild everything from scratch every single time. So now I'm able to add more and more stuff to each one. So don't get surprised if these videos start just like being an overload on the system, you know?
Nice. Yeah, I noticed the nice detail when you show the title at the bottom. You have like the credits and everything to it now, and it was formatted nice with the 2 slashes between the writers and the artists. Like, man,
Yeah.
this is crisp.
Yeah.
This is crisp right here.
Yeah, because like all of those animations I was doing from scratch. Like I was having to go in there and tell it where I want it to start, where I want it to end. I would have to manipulate the time to get it to all look right. And so I would memorize all of that information. And so every time I make a new video, I'm just like plugging all this stuff in real quick. And now I figured out how to just like kind of save it as a template, and I can drag and drop and change things around and stuff real easy. So now that I can start from a base, I can like keep adding things. So I'm probably going to give somebody a seizure at some point. And I'll pull it back from there, you know.
You start your videos with one of those Disney Plus disclaimers. Flashing lights in this movie may cause seizures. Like yeah, you have to tell people that. Like, you're really only telling people who aren't epileptic. Epileptic people know this going into movies.
Yeah. It's like advertising in previews. Like, who do you think is buying your comics?
Yeah. Oh man. All right.
All right, man. Well, let's get out of here so you can go to Target.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping in. I mean, we peaked at like 8, but there was about 6 people in here most times. So that's exciting because this was unplanned. I hit up Mark. We decided to go live. I was like, let's do it in like an hour and a half. And he was like, why not now? Said, good point. So we
No
popped
time
up.
like the
Thank you
present.
for stopping by. Everybody came through.
As Barry Allen would say, everywhere is right now.
And on that note, let's get out of here. Take care.